Hello there. So we have completed the bones now. So Let's now discuss about the muscles. So around, there are lots of categories of the muscle. There are primarily three categories of the muscles. We have the skeletal muscle, the smooth muscles, and the cardiac muscles. As the name mentions, uh, the smooth muscles are the muscles which are our visceral muscles. For example, we have the muscles of the stomach, the muscle of the small intestine. These are called the smooth muscles. The internal visceral organs, they are mostly involuntary. Then we have the cardiac muscle. As the name mentioned, the cardiac means the heart. These are the heart muscles, and these are located only on the heart. And these are auto-excitable, very powerful muscles. They work throughout the whole life of the organism. These are also, as usual, involuntary, as we know, obviously. Then we have our skeletal muscles. Where is our skeletal muscle? Boom. So these are our skeletal muscles. The skeletal muscles are our voluntary muscles, and these are joined with the bones via tendons. And these muscles are mainly responsible for the movements. We say that we have bones, the structure of the humans, and these are helpful for the locomotion, right? But the actual locomotion, which is done by the muscles, the skeletal muscles, and around we have 630 plus muscles, the skeletal muscles. So this is the number. This is a huge number. But one thing is important, that is what that we have paired muscles. For example, if we have a pectoralis minor in the right side, we have also a pectoralis minor on the left side. If we have nasalis muscle on the right side, we have the nasalis muscle on the right side. So these are the paired muscles, but round and round, the number is very huge. So we have characterized the bones first, the head and neck region, then we have the upper limb, then we have the thorax, then we have the abdomen, then we have the lower limb, we have the pelvis. So there's huge, and everything is very deep. So if we talk about very briefly, then let's continue with the muscles of the head and neck region, right? So these are as the bones are characterized. For example, we have the cranial bones, the 8 cranial bones, and the 14 facial bones. So we have the muscles of the facial expression, right? For example, I'm doing this, I'm smiling, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm showing anger. This is my, the expression. And the muscle of mastication, when we eat the food, we just chew. So we have the muscle of the mastication. Then this is our tongue, right? So the tongue is there are lots of muscle which controls the movement of the tongue. They are the muscle of tongue, but mainly we will discuss about the muscle of mastication and the muscle of facial expression, and one major muscle. So the first muscle of this category is our occipitalo-frontalis muscle. This muscle runs from the frontal bone to the uh, external occipital protuberance of our occipital bone. This is very large muscle, because it runs from here, and then the aponeurosis comes, and then the actual muscles occurs. When we have a flat, then we have tendon which connects from the muscle to the bone. But when the tendon is flattened, it is called the aponeurosis, right? So we have the aponeurosis in this region. This is the frontal region of the occipitalo-frontalis muscle. Then the aponeurosis comes, and then the occipital region of the occipitalo-frontalis muscle is there. And now the facial expression muscles. We have the procerus muscle. This is the responsible function of the procerus muscle, right? We have this orbicularis oculi muscle, orbicularis oculi, and also we have very many categories, right? We have the palpebral part of this orbicularis oculi muscle, by the function of which I'm doing this, I'm blinking my eye. And then we have the zygomaticus major, zygomaticus minor muscle. We have here the nasalis muscle. We have the levator anguli oris muscle, like this. So by the action of which we can smile, we can lift up our lips up. This is our orbicularis Oral muscle. This is our orbicularis oculi. Oculi means eye, and this is our orbicularis oral muscle here. And there are many muscles which are connected to it. There we have this mentalis, for example. I'm just thinking something like this. So this is the mentalis muscle. Also, we have a platysma muscle. The platysma muscle, it runs from, this is our mandible, and it covers from mandible to our clavicle region. This is our platysma, right? We also have a buccinator muscle here. The buccinator muscle is which we all call the trumpet muscle. When we blew the trumpet, the muscle is used by the buccinator muscle, right? As we have the levator anguli oris muscle, we also have the levator uh, alaqui nasalis muscle, right? These are also paired. We also have the depressor anguli oris muscle. We also have one category is left, that is our levator, and that category I just remember it, that is our levator labii superioris and the depressor labii inferioris. So these are the muscles of the facial expression. These muscles are mainly innervated by the C7. The C7 is the nerve of the facial nerve, and one point to remember that the nerve comes from the stylomastoid foramen to the internal ear, and from the stylomastoid foramen it just runs to the whole face. It has 5 branches, like the 5 branches. Here we have the parotid gland, and it just runs superficially to the parotid gland, and then it just covered the whole face. So C7 is the facial nerve. Okay, the nerve is important. And so these are the muscles of our facial expression. I've covered all muscles. Also we have one rhizoras muscle. This is here we have our rhizoras muscle here, buccinator, rhizoras, zygomaticus major and minor, alaqui nasalis muscle here, nasalis muscle here, levator anguli oris muscle, which I can lift my, this is up like this, and depressor labii inferioris like this. The depressor anguli oris muscle, which is the angle of the lips, like this, and the levator anguli oris, in which we can turn up like this. Okay, so these are the smiling, the sad, and also we have the mentalis muscle when we think like this, the chin muscle right here, the orbicularis oris muscle, the orbicularis oculi muscle, the palpebral, its palpebral part, and the muscular tongue. Okay, so these were our muscles of our facial expression. Now let's come to the muscle of the mastication. So we have mainly 4 muscles of mastication. First one, we have the masseter. So the masseter, it is present here, and it has the superficial and the superficial portion and the deep portion. So as we just it just elevate the mandible. This is our that's like this. So this is the function of our masseter muscle. Also we have a temporalis muscle. This is the here the whole temporalis muscle is here, and it just comes to the coracoid, and it inserted on the coracoid process of our mandible. There are 2 processes. The one is the head of the mandible, and then is the coracoid process. The head is located on the mandibular fossa in the temporal bone, which is responsible for the temporomandibular joint, by the action of which we can rotate our mandible like this and this, like this. And the second thing is our coracoid process, where the temporalis muscles come from here, and it runs down to the zygomatic arch and insert on the coracoid process, and the masseter temporalis. Then we have the pterygoid medial muscle. We have the pterygoid lateral muscles, which originates from the pterygoid plates of the sphenoid bone, and attachments are also there. So these are the muscles of mastication. There are 4 muscles of mastication. So these are the muscles of our a portion of the head region is there.